They told us Alpha 9 only listens. We never transmit. We never answer. We never let anyone know we are here. That was the first rule. Alpha 9 is a listening station built far north, beyond normal routes and supply lines. Snow covers everything for most of the year. The sky is almost always gray. From the outside, the building looks abandoned, just concrete and metal buried in ice. Inside it is quiet. Not peaceful quiet. Mechanical quiet. Low humming from machines. Soft radar sweeps. Fans pushing recycled air through narrow vents. Our job is simple. We listen to empty frequencies. Places where nothing should be transmitting anymore. Old war zones. Abandoned sectors. Coordinates removed from official maps. Most nights there is nothing. Just static. My name is Lieutenant Carter Hale. I've been stationed at Alpha 9 for over a year. The isolation doesn't bother me. You get used to the silence. You start to prefer it. Sierra 12 was a name from an old report. A recon team that disappeared 12 years ago. 8 soldiers sent into a mountain sector during a winter operation. The mission was routine. Mapping terrain, checking structural stability of underground tunnels. Then they vanished. Their last message was normal. Come. Controlled. They said visibility was low. They said they were moving to the next checkpoint. After that, nothing. Search teams found no bodies. No wreckage. No working equipment. The mountain region was later destroyed in a controlled collapse. Official explanation: unstable ground. The case was closed. Until 4:12 a.m. It was a quiet shift. Just 2 of us in the control room. I was reviewing archived signals when the main monitor flickered. Not an alarm. Just activity. A signal had locked onto one of our listening channels. That alone was unusual. We do not broadcast our location. We do not advertise our frequency. Yet the signal came directly to us. I assumed it was interference at first. Old signals sometimes bounce through the atmosphere and resurface years later. But then I saw the identification tag attached to the message. Sierra 12. I felt my stomach tighten. I opened the old personnel file. Captain Elias Ward. Team leader. Presumed dead. I compared the voice from the recording to archived samples. It matched. The message was short. This is Sierra 12. Extraction window compromised. Requesting immediate evacuation. His tone was steady. Professional. As if he had transmitted yesterday. Not 12 years ago. I checked the timestamp. Current. Not old. Not damaged. What? I replayed it 3 times. Each time it sounded the same. No distortion. No background chaos. Just a calm request for extraction. I checked the attached coordinates. They pointed to the exact mountain sector where Sierra 12 had disappeared. A sector that officially no longer exists. I told myself there had to be a logical explanation. Signal replay. Spoof transmission. Training simulation. But none of those made sense. Then radar picked something up. A single moving signal. Right in that same sector. The signal was faint but steady. It moved slowly. In a triangle. Stop. Turn. Move. Stop. I pulled up the old mission path from 12 years ago. The pattern matched Sierra 12's final patrol route. Exactly. Every turn. Every pause. It was like watching someone retrace their steps underground. The second message came minutes later. Atmosphere unstable. Holding position. Holding position. If the mountain had collapsed, there would be no open space to hold position in. No air. No structure left. Yet the voice sounded calm. Focused. Like a team waiting for instructions. Then something changed. The third transmission was different. Alpha 9, confirm you copy. Every person in the room looked at me. They said our station name. We had not responded. We had not acknowledged them. We had done nothing. Yet they were speaking to us directly. I muted the speakers and listened through my headset. Behind the voice I heard something faint. A deep metallic sound. Slow. Heavy. Like steel bending under pressure. It wasn't loud. But it was steady. Like something massive shifting in the dark. At 4:23, radar changed again. The single signal split into 3. They formed a triangle. Perfect spacing. Perfect symmetry. Then the elevation reading flickered. From deep underground. To ground level. To slightly above it. No gradual movement. Just jumps. As if physical space didn't matter. The room felt colder. No one spoke. The final message of the shift came at 4:27. No identification tag this time. Just the voice. Clear. Closer. Extraction window closing. Pause. Then. We never left. The signal didn't fade. It didn't break apart. It simply stopped. Radar cleared. The screens returned to normal. Outside, the wind kept moving snow across the frozen ground. Inside, the machines kept humming. But the silence felt different. It no longer felt empty. It felt occupied. That was the beginning. And I did not file the official report that night. I should have reported it immediately. That was protocol. Any unknown transmission from a restricted sector must be logged and forwarded to Central Command before the end of the shift. I didn't. I told myself I needed more data, more confirmation, more proof that I wasn't about to file the most absurd report in Alpha 9 history. At 4:12 the next night, I was already watching the screen, waiting. I told my partner it was routine system calibration. He didn't question it. At exactly 4:12 a.m., the signal returned. No search pattern. No sweep. It appeared instantly, like it knew when to arrive. This is Sierra 12. Holding formation. Same voice. Same calm tone. I didn't respond. We never respond. But my heart was beating faster than it had the night before. The radar lit up seconds later. 3 signals. Same triangular spacing. But this time they weren't retracing the old patrol path. They were stationary. Directly under the center of Sector K-17. Waiting. The next transmission came sooner. Alpha 9. We are awaiting confirmation. They weren't broadcasting blindly anymore. They were addressing us deliberately. I checked every outgoing system again. We had not transmitted. We had not leaked. There was no way they could know we were actively listening. Unless the first night wasn't random. Unless the first message was not a call for help, but a test. I saved the recordings locally instead of pushing them to the central archive. That was my first real mistake. By 4:20 the tone changed slightly. Still calm, but slower. Command instructed us to hold position. Boss, why are you silent? The room felt smaller. My partner finally noticed something was wrong. He asked what frequency I was monitoring. I told him it was atmospheric interference. He believed me. I don't know why. At 4:23 something new happened. The radar signals moved. Not across terrain. Upward. But not gradually. They flickered from underground, to surface, to slightly above ground level, then back down, like something testing boundaries. The next message didn't follow standard format. It was quieter, almost conversational. Carter. I froze. They used my name. Not my rank. Not my station. My name. My partner didn't hear it. The external speakers were muted. It was only in my headset. Carter, we know you can hear us. I pulled the headset off immediately. Checked the recording buffer. The name was there. Clear. Undeniable. I had never transmitted my identity. Alpha 9 does not attach operator names to listening channels. There was no logical path from me to that voice. Unless this wasn't about signals. Unless whatever was transmitting had access to internal data. I finally sent a partial report to Central Command. Not the recordings. Just a summary. Unidentified signal originating from Sector K-17. Possible spoof attempt. Their response came back in less than 3 minutes. Cease monitoring immediately. No questions. No request for copies. Just a direct order. That unsettled me more than the voice did. If this was simple interference, they would want evidence. Instead, they wanted silence. At 4:27, before I could shut the system down, the final transmission of that night came through. Extraction window closing. Then, you told us not to leave. The radar signals aligned into a tighter triangle. Closer together. Then they began to move, slowly, toward the outer boundary of the restricted sector. Not randomly, in a straight line, toward us. The distance between Sector K-17 and Alpha 9 is significant. Mountains, ice fields, impassable terrain. Yet the elevation reading didn't show surface travel. It showed fluctuation, inconsistent depth, like the signals weren't bound by the mountain at all. At 4:31, all 3 signals stopped. The transmission ended mid-frequency. The screens went quiet. The next morning, Central Command disabled our direct radar access to K-17 remotely. No explanation. No follow-up. Just removal. My partner was reassigned 2 days later. Routine rotation officially. But no replacement arrived for his position. That left me alone on the night shift. At 4:12 the following night, even without radar access, the audio channel activated. This is Sierra 12. No coordinates this time. No status report. Just the voice. You left us here. I didn't breathe. You are still listening. Pause. Open the channel. That was the moment I understood something clearly. This wasn't a distress signal. It wasn't a replay. It wasn't even a trapped recon unit. Whatever was speaking. It wasn't asking to be rescued. It was asking to be let out. And I was the only one still listening. Central Command never asked for the recordings. That bothered me more than the transmissions. If this was a threat, they would want evidence. If this was a glitch, they would want data. Instead, they removed radar access to Sector K-17 and told us to stop monitoring it. 2 days later, maintenance crews arrived without notice. They replaced part of our signal routing system. No explanation. Just software optimization. But I noticed something. The hardware connected to K-17 wasn't removed. It was rerouted. Not disabled. Redirected. To somewhere I couldn't see. That meant someone was still listening. Just not us. At 4:12 that night, the audio channel activated again. Even though K-17 was officially blacklisted. This is Sierra 12. The voice sounded closer. Not louder. Closer. Like distance no longer mattered. You changed the system. I felt my chest tighten. No one had announced the maintenance publicly. No one had logged the reroute in the daily shift notes. Yet the transmission acknowledged it. You are not allowed to close the channel. The temperature in the control room dropped again. Not dramatically. Just enough to notice. I checked internal logs. No outbound signal. No data leak. There was no path from our maintenance changes to an external source. Unless the source was not external. At 4:15 something new appeared. Not on radar. On the internal security feed. Camera 3. The corridor outside the control room. A faint distortion. Like heat bending air. The hallway was empty. But the image wasn't stable. I switched cameras. Everything else was normal. Only camera 3 flickered. The transmission continued. You are moving. My hands were still. I hadn't left the chair. You are afraid. The voice was calm. Almost observant. Like it wasn't accusing. Just stating a fact. I muted the headset. The words continued. Not through speakers. Through the room. Soft. Barely audible. But present. You are still listening. I stood up. The sound didn't come from a specific direction. It felt evenly distributed. Like air carrying it. The security camera feed stabilized. The corridor was empty. Completely empty. At 4:18 the main monitor turned on without input. Radar access to K-17 had been locked. But the screen displayed coordinates anyway. Not K-17. Alpha 9. Our position. 3 blinking signals. Outside the station. Maintaining triangular formation. Exactly 200 meters apart. I rushed to the surface camera feed. Nothing but snow and darkness. No lights. No movement. No thermal signatures. But the internal radar, disabled supposedly, still showed them. Slowly shifting position. Like they were adjusting around the building. Encircling it. The next transmission came immediately. Extraction window relocated. I couldn't breathe properly. Confirm visual. There was no visual. Only empty snowfields. Only wind. The signals moved closer. 150 meters. Then they stopped. Perfect triangle. Centered on Alpha 9. The lights in the control room flickered once. Just once. Then stabilized. The voice spoke again. You were always the relay. Not a request. Not a plea. A conclusion. I grabbed the landline to Central Command. Dead. No tone. I tried the backup satellite phone. No signal. The internal system clock froze at 4:21. The second hand stopped moving. The transmission continued. We are no longer underground. The 3 signals on the screen pulsed in unison. Then, they disappeared. Not faded. Not moved away. Gone. The radar screen cleared. The clock resumed. 4:22. 1 minute lost. Every external system came back online at the same time. As if nothing had happened. The hallway camera showed nothing unusual. The snow outside remained untouched. But something had changed. This was no longer about a missing recon team. It wasn't about a buried mountain. Whatever was transmitting. It was no longer confined to Sector K-17. And it knew exactly where I was. At 4:27, one final message came through. Clear. Stable. Right inside my headset. Open the channel, Carter. And for the first time since this began, I considered answering. I should have closed the channel. That would have been protocol. That would have been safe. Instead, I opened it. Slowly. Deliberately. This is Alpha 9. Channel open. There was no immediate response. No static. No distortion. Just silence. But not empty silence. It felt occupied. Like someone standing in a dark room waiting for your eyes to adjust. Then, "Thank you, Carter." The voice was closer now. Not louder. Closer. As if distance had stopped meaning anything. "What do you want?" I asked. Pause. "Correction." The word came gently. "We do not want." The radar screen activated again. No signals this time. Instead, a grid overlay appeared across the map. Latitude. Longitude. Elevation. The grid tightened. Zoomed. Focused. Not on Sector K-17. On Alpha 9. Specifically, this room. The exact coordinates of the control station flashed in red. "You were selected," the voice said. "Based on continuity." My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Selected for what? Another pause. For persistence. The temperature in the room began to drop. Not rapidly. Not dramatically. Just enough that my breath became faintly visible. Condensation formed along the edges of the main console. The hum beneath the floor deepened again. That same metallic resonance. But now it had layers. Like multiple frequencies overlapping. "Central Command rerouted your array," the voice continued. "They believed the signal originated below." I swallowed. "It didn't?" "No." A long silence followed. Then, "It originated above." The ceiling lights flickered. I glanced up instinctively. The concrete overhead vibrated. Dust fell in thin lines. Not from impact. From pressure. External pressure. The radar display shifted again. 3 signals reappeared. Not outside. Not approaching. Directly overhead. 0 horizontal movement. Perfect vertical alignment. Altitude reading fluctuating between 90 and 110 meters. Hovering. Soundless. The exterior microphones picked up nothing. No rotors. No engines. No wind displacement. But the building creaked. The metal beams flexed. "You tracked us incorrectly," the voice said calmly. "You assumed subterranean origin because your instruments require ground reference." The temperature dropped another degree. The glass of the main screen cracked along one edge. A thin, spidering fracture. I tried calling Central Command again. This time the line connected. But no one spoke. There was breathing on the other end. Slow. Measured. Listening. Then the call disconnected. "You are still seeking hierarchy," the voice said. "Authorization. Containment. Command structure." The radar altitude dropped. 80 meters. 70. Still no sound from above. "You misunderstand your role." My headset began to emit feedback. But not sharp static. It was the same metallic rhythm. The synchronized pulse. The one that had been buried in every earlier transmission. But now it was perfectly clear. It matched my heartbeat. Or maybe my heartbeat was matching it. The lights went out completely. Total darkness. The only illumination came from the radar screen. Green grid lines. 3 red markers overhead. 40 meters. 35. 30. The building groaned. Concrete strained. "You were not intercepting," the voice said. "You were synchronizing." 25 meters. The ceiling above me began to glow faintly. Not from fire. From pressure. A pale white circle forming directly above the control desk. No heat. No debris falling. Just displacement. The air felt heavy. That's like standing underwater. "You provided temporal anchoring." 20 meters. The glow intensified. Not blinding. Just wrong. Like light that didn't belong in physical space. I tried to stand. My legs felt slow. Unresponsive. "You maintained continuity across cycles." 15 meters. The glow expanded. The edges of the room seemed to stretch. Perspective distorted. Walls bending slightly inward. The radar altitude numbers flickered between 15 and 0. 15. 0. 15. 0. "You believed you were observing." The voice softened. "You were stabilizing." 0 meters. The 3 red signals merged into one. Directly on the coordinates of my position. The glow stopped expanding. It held. Suspended. Every sound ceased. No hum. No wind. No breathing. Silence so complete it hurt. Then, the radar screen went black. The clock reset to 4:12. The exact minute this escalation had begun. Lights returned instantly. Normal brightness. The ceiling intact. No cracks. No glow. No vibration. The temperature normalized. Exterior cameras showed calm snowfall. Undisturbed. No objects in the sky. No footprints on the ground. The landline rang. Once. Twice. I answered. "This is Central Command," a calm voice said. "We are confirming restoration of your long-range array." My throat tightened. Restoration? Yes. Signal reacquisition complete. I looked at the radar screen. Sector K-17 was active again. Clean. Empty. No anomalies. "No," I said slowly. "You shut that down." A pause on their end. "We never lost it." Cold crept through me again. "Lieutenant Carter," the voice continued evenly, "you've been on scheduled observation for the last 4 hours." My pulse stumbled. Observation? Yes. Monitoring phase. The line went quiet for a second. Then, "Did you experience any irregularities?" I looked around the control room. Everything normal. Untouched. But on the main console, 3 faint handprints, arranged in a triangular spacing, pressed into the condensation that should no longer have been there. I couldn't breathe. The voice on the line spoke again. "Lieutenant." I forced my voice steady. "Negative," I said. "No irregularities." Another pause. "Understood." The call ended. The radar emitted a soft tone. "Incoming transmission. Open channel." The same voice, closer than ever. "You maintained continuity." A final pause. Then, "Cycle complete." The signal cut. This time, it did not return. A Warbound journal story.